Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to yet another edition of the Pure Digital Passion Podcast with me, Moses Kamibaro. If you may recall, a couple of weeks ago, I had a really great conversation here with the two founders behind the startups that were winners in the Visa Everywhere Initiative, Kenya edition, and even one of them went on to win within the Africa edition as well. And today we're here behind, shall we say, the protagonists behind that event. We have representatives from Visa and also NCBA who are very much part of the ecosystem that make all this possible. And maybe we could start off with you introducing yourself, starting with you, and you can tell us a little bit more about who you are and what it is that you do at Visa.
Well, thank you very much, Moses. My name is James Kabuthi. I look after products and solutions for Visa in East Africa. So that basically means anticipating the needs of the Kenyan consumer from a debit, credit, and prepaid perspective, and delivering these solutions on time. But things are changing. We are moving beyond just card solutions to technology that's just happening behind the scenes.
Yes.
And we're just addressing the consumer's needs. So it's an interesting job to just keep up with the advancements in technology.
Fantastic. And maybe you can also introduce yourself and what you do at NCBA.
Yeah, so my name is Jimmy Mwang'ondi. I'm the Chief Product Officer for Loop DFS. And I know the introduction has been done through NCBA. So just to give more context, Loop DFS is a wholly owned fintech entity, fully owned by the group, NCBA Group. And what we've been known for quite some time that we'll be speaking into today is our work as far as digital lending and savings is concerned. So for Mshwari, Fuliza here in Kenya, More Cash in the MTN markets, Empower in Tanzania, but more recently Loop as the digital financial services app that powers user growth there. So what I do there is lead the initiatives as far as delivery of the platform is concerned. The strategy of the Loop platform, the UI UX, as well as platform partnerships, which is the core of what we'll be discussing today.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Just
much.
as a small caveat, I'm a customer of NCBA. I'm also a Loop customer. And I don't use Fuliza, but I do know that you kind of power a lot of these things out there. So we are customers and we're happy with what you're doing there. And which actually brings me to a very nice segue to come back to you, Jimmy, to talk about Visa. Because I think for most consumers in the market, when they think Visa, they think the thing you use at the PDQ or the PayPoint, the thing you use to pay for your Netflix or your Amazon online. But I think it's important to provide some context about what is Visa and what does Visa bring to the market and how do you partner with organizations like Loop and other banks and so forth to deliver your value proposition to the market?
So it's good to see Visa beyond credit cards and debit cards. Visa is a technology company powering payments globally. It's a network that connects over 200 countries and 14,000 financial institutions, processing over 65,000 transactions every second. So if you think about every cardholder who's approaching a merchant, then there's that connection to the bank and the settlement process for all those transactions. So this is a global network powering payments and enhancing lives everywhere.
And I think it's important to say this because it is a fact of Kenya that, Visa has this incredible innovation studio. I think people need to know a bit more about that as we discuss this because I think it ties very nicely back to Vay. Maybe talk a little bit about this unique place that we have in Nairobi that is available to startups and any financial service provider to get full benefit from.
Yes, so we have the innovation studio that has been open for over 1 year now.
Yes.
And it's the realization that to build solutions, you really have to, co-create with the stakeholders of the industry, and in this case, the fintechs and the financial institutions, and more so put the end user, the consumer, at the heart of everything. So the innovation studio has a human-centric design policy where we sit down and just whiteboard and say, okay, forget the credit card, forget the debit card. forget the financial institution, forget the fintech. Let's think about the consumer and what do they really want. So once you have that clean canvas, you're able to design solutions that really meet the needs of the end user. And these are the principles that were used by Visa to design, for example, something like Apple Pay, where we collaborated with Apple and just put the different components of the Visa solutions to have that digital wallet. And you're working with partners like Loop as well to just design solutions together, and many other partners in the market. So we've seen the successes of having the innovation studio and just the wow factor of someone walking in there and seeing the possibilities in the different use cases that have been displayed in the studio, even just stimulates design thinking. So we're looking forward to more custom solutions coming out of the studio, which has been open now for 1.5 years.
And maybe it might be good to mention that you have your global pay products that today is working with Safaricom. And I think that's one of the outputs of such an initiative, yes?
Yes, indeed. And this is just in line with us connecting everyone everywhere and showing that the ecosystems are connected. You know, mobile money ecosystems are also connected to Visa. Financial institutions are connected to Visa. And really, at the end of it all, we just want anyone who's making a payment to be able to access the global network. So for Global Pay, you can be able to do e-commerce transactions straight from your M-Pesa wallet, powered on Visa rails.
And I think from a financial inclusion perspective, that's incredible, because I don't know how many M-Pesa subscribers we have today in the country, but I think it's over 20 million. And what that means basically is even if you don't have a traditional credit card, you are not excluded from being able to do digital payments, correct?
Exactly. So you get a virtual card, and this just shows the evolution of the form factor. You know, we started off with plastic with a magnetic strip. Then we went to the plastic with a chip and pin. Right now, we have moved to virtual and digital cards, which you cannot see, but deliver the same capabilities behind the scene and even more enhanced technology. So the fact that even an M-Pesa user somewhere in Kisumu or another location can just get the virtual card and be able to go online and purchase items online, you know, just expands that reach.
And I think it's wonderful that we're peeling away the layers. And I think for me, when I think of Visa, especially when I came to the studio last year when you launched it, was this understanding that you're almost a network of networks when it comes to payments and financial transactions. So I'm really grateful you're able to share that with our audience so that they can fully appreciate what you're doing globally, but also at a local level, that even M-Pesa is integrated into the Visa ecosystem. I want to come back to you to talk about the Loop DFS. And I think there's a very important nuance we need to establish here that I think for many of us, we see it as a subsidiary or component of NCBA as a bank. But I think increasingly, and especially after you launched the new version of your app this year, it became very clear that Loop is almost sitting as its own, shall we say, fintech of sorts, obviously working closely with the likes of Visa. But can you maybe expound a little bit more about what Loop is doing? And I think from what I understand also, there's this incredible African footprint that you're now building so that you're in markets where the bank might not operate, but Loop as a service provider actually exists there. Maybe talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so before we head to where we're going, I think it's very important for us to get to appreciate the journey that we've traveled or gone through in the past, or what I like to call the making of Loop.
Yeah, fantastic.
So our
origin
journey
story.
So our journey actually started around circa 2006, when M-Pesa was preparing to get into the market.
All the way 2006?
Yes,
Wow, the origins.
Yes, the origin, So whereas the NCBA Bank helped formulate the regulatory framework, and that's where our journey as far as digital financial services kind of started. And then 6 years down the line, the 2006 story, I like to call it as phase zero, because it's laid down the foundation of what we've been doing and what we'll continue to do as far as digital financial services is concerned. But we've split that story into 3 eras. So where the first era was the era of digital credit and savings. So what, if you recall, M-Shwari that we launched in 2012, where Safaricom came and told us that they noticed that customers tend to failed to complete transactions because of the balances that they had as far as transaction amounts are concerned.
Okay.
And therefore, the solution of customers being able to borrow and also be able to save came up, and that was M-Shwari. But the problem that you're trying to solve was that of customer who's trying to make certain choices, so between being able to put food on the table or being able to pay for medical bills, and that's a question of dignity. No one wants to be found in to make a choice between those two critical components, and that's when M-Shwari was born. So we sought to smoothen household cash flows and unlock opportunity ab initio at the most underserved level of our social economic structure. And of course, we were inspired by the human stories behind the veil of socio-economic context. And the example I've just given you of a father who has to choose between putting food on the table or paying bills for the expectant wife, and that's where we started to build this particular solution. And beyond it being as a consumer solution, there's also a merchant play to it, where a merchant doesn't have enough stock for them to buy the stock of the coming day.
Okay, this is the supply chain de-risking.
Yes. So I could take an M-Shwari loan, buy stock, sell that stock, repay that loan, take another one, and the journey sort of continues. And with that, our growth story sort of started.
Okay.
Because someone was maybe doing 1,000 a day, the next day they could do 2,000, the day after they could do 4,000, 8,000, and that compounds over time. But beyond credit as well, we also sought to inculcate a savings culture, and we debunked the notion that Kenyans don't save, and we demonstrated that the right solutions hadn't been offered by formal financial institutions, and M-Shwari, without much fuss, has been able to mobilize in excess of $350 million, in consumer deposits, as of today, and that was the first era. So the second era is when we launched the first version of Loop, and what we wanted to do was digital banking. So if you recall, between 2012 and 2018, there was a proliferation of smartphone devices.
Correct.
So this smartphone culture sort of got into us, but beyond the cost of smartphones coming down, the cost of data was also coming down rapidly, and the penetration of high-speed data had also taken effect in the market. And we sort of asked ourselves, then how do we, instead of waiting for customers to come to us, how do we take banking to the customers? And the problem statement that we were trying to solve at that time is that the opportunity, of course, was there, and financial institutions were not sort of reacting to it. And that's what took us to build the first version of Loop. And then the third era, which began in January of this year, is when now we pivoted. Now the business model from a pipeline to a platform business model, where if you see what we did in 2018, we were building everything internally, but now we sought to create a platform with buyers and sellers, and bring in partners into the platform, such as Visa.
Correct.
And now where the fintech play now comes in is that now we're able to make Loop as an open platform. So any customer from any bank can come and get a myriad of services, and not just services that are being created by Loop, but services that are being co-created with other partners such as Visa, as well as fintech partners that want to collaborate with Visa, as well as Loop. And the game there is, of course, to be able to bring more value into our customers, expand the offerings that we're able to provide to our customers, and sort of uplift or continue the story that we started, of serving the underserved within our social economic context here, but now going to scale, break the barriers that we know as far as borders are concerned, and be able to put activity into the marketplace that we call Africa. But in a nutshell, what we are all about is growth.
Okay.
That could mean various things to various people. Yeah. So for a consumer, it could be getting that financing that allows me to improve my skills, to make myself more employable. For that business is to expand the activity that they're doing in the marketplace. Yeah, it could be a business that wants to get more customers, and that's what we are seeking out to do as far as our platform play is concerned.
It's interesting that you're mentioning this because obviously at an individual level, I've been a Loop customer since the beginning. I was there at the launch. I wrote about it extensively. I use it a lot for online payments. Yeah. And of course, what I think I see and what you're saying is that as much as this consumer proposition, which is the banking app and so forth, or should I call it a financial services app? It's not just about banking. It's the utility and the possibilities that exist. Yeah. And I think ultimately what you're telling me here, that is, if I understand you correctly, is that Loop is going much, much further than what it was even just 5 years ago. Yeah. And I know that you do have ambition around the continent and what makes it possible. Yeah. Which also now brings me back to you, James. I'd like to hear more about the reason we're here today, which is, the Visa Everywhere initiative. We know it's the first time it's happened in Kenya and this part of the world. I'd just like you maybe to give us a context from the origins and the global perspective, because it's not just happening in Kenya, but globally, and then maybe cascade it down to the Kenya perspective in terms of, why Visa did it here, what does it hope to achieve, and so forth.
Yeah. So the Visa Everywhere initiative kicked off in 2015.
Okay.
And since then, we've had 12,000 fintechs participate.
Okay.
In several countries. And here in Kenya is seen as the bedrock of, fintech and innovation. And that's why we brought the competition here, just to give the fintechs a chance to showcase their solutions and what problems they're trying to solve. If I can go back historically, if you think about, why do we have fintechs thriving so much? It's because, and I've come from traditional banking for about 20 years. You could get solutions. For example, the bank just wants to keep your money safe. And then the bank just want to give you your information. And then they want to give you your information the next day. I recall 20 years ago, the utility company, Kenya Power, getting boxes and boxes of statements, which they had to then go and, reconcile manually, line by line. But that's something that's of the past now. Right now, you pay for your bill and it goes straight into the ERP and you get connected. Even getting reconnected for power was a process, because someone will come disconnect you physically, and then you have to go queue at the at the banking hall. They had banking halls for power. So, we've moved away from all that because of technology and because of resolving some of these problems, which is, speed. How can I get connected faster? How can I get my information quick? And fintechs really have thrived because of addressing those challenges. So it's important to give the fintechs a platform to showcase the new solutions that they have. And we've had beautiful solutions coming out. For example, the winner of the global competition last year, Thriver Greek from Nigeria, won the global competition, and they are looking at solutions for farmers. We also have another Nigerian fintech that has won the SemaBox regional competition for a solution for doctors. Our own fintech Ifluence, won something because they're using AI to change, marketing. We had Ndovu as well, winning because of expanding the reach to underbanked. So with all that, it just shows the potential that is out there, and how fintechs require a platform, and not just the platform to showcase, but then after that, what do we do? There needs to be funding, there needs to be mentoring, and there needs to be even, some of these fintechs starting today could be, the giants of tomorrow.
Correct.
And to have been part of such a process where you help to bring out these ideas and incubate them and give them a platform really is why we support the Visa Everywhere initiative.
And of course, you have the studio here, so that again can be a place where they can come and refine and sharpen their business concepts even more, right?
Yes, and so everyone who participated in the competition will get a chance to join a cohort where we continue to mentor them and look at their ideas and see what else we can do with them beyond the competition.
Fantastic. So I'm really intrigued here, James, and now Jimmy. How does Loop DFS connect into the Visa Everywhere initiative? What is this connection point and what makes this work? I'm just curious about the partnership.
Yeah, so you recall in the story of Loop DFS,
Yes.
I talked about 3 eras, and the last era that we started this year, January, was to pivot from a pipeline into a platform business model, and perhaps it's useful to mention that in our quest to build the most valuable digital payment platform in Africa, there are 3 core jobs that we focus on every day, and that is first being able to build an audience, what we call audience building. And then once we build an audience, we enable transactions between this audience. And then the last job is to be able to do matchmaking. And when you think about that, what you're doing is you're creating utility between buyers in your platform, sellers in your platform. And for you to do this, then you need solid partners coming in. And that's where our partnership with Visa sort of started. And Visa has given us 3 key benefits here that I'll like to touch on.
It's always 3 with you. I just picked that up.
The Trinity, So the first is Visa is a trusted brand. They've built this over decades. And when you work with a trusted brand and you have trust, especially in this era of data privacy, data protection,
fraud,
digital hygiene, and fraud and so on, it's very key to work with a partner who brings in the requisite brand utility that now helps you build and expand the audience that you have. And then remember, recall I said that the second job now is to enable transactions.
Correct.
And Visa has been also very instrumental in helping us do that. So the first thing is card tokenization. And I don't know if you said you're a Loop customer, if you've already experienced this. And I
know it's there. I'm still using my traditional card, but I know it's there.
So before we leave this table, I'll make sure that you've actually added your card. And what this helps you to do, of course, is to be able to fund your wallet, and with that now you're able to do as many transactions as possible. Because today, if you think about how funding is in the marketplace, is that you have to go to your bank app, push your funds to whichever platform that you're using, and then now go into the platform and begin transacting. So with Loop, we saw that problem, and we worked to alleviating that friction from our customers. And you can see now that partnership with Visa sort of started coming in together. And with card tokenization now, any customer, banked customer in Kenya, which is sort of the target that you're trying to build upon, is now able to tokenize their card and be able to make payments and do transactions without moving off their app into a secondary app. And then of course the other element that Visa have helped us with is the card to card transactions. So right now I can send funds to any Visa card, and that is very useful both for local transactions as well as foreign transactions, whether it's P2P or C2B, B2B, B2C.
Fantastic.
It gives us that leverage. Now, that being a platform, when you've built these core elements, then fintechs that are, of course, attracted by the Studio and the Visa Everywhere initiative here could now also come to us, especially in areas that we are focused on, that I'll talk more as we proceed as far as ecosystems are concerned. So the way we look at ecosystems, we look at it in the three key ecosystems. So the first ecosystem is what we call the enabling ecosystems. That essentially is the core infrastructure that is required to enable payments. So what Visa has as far as card schemes are concerned, do the same with the Momo schemes, as well as the switching systems, both local and across the region. So if you look at PesaLink and the peer schemes across the region. And the second bit now is to enable what we call the enabling ecosystems. And these are essentially daily use case kind of activities. So if you think about yourself, there's no day that you leave the house without doing either a retail transaction, so you go buy groceries, buy lunch, or a mobility transaction, be it fueling your car, taking a cab, and so on. And as you can see, these are very crucial conversations, especially in the context of the African Climate Summit as far as green financing is concerned. And then now the third bit, of course, is now the production ecosystems, where we look at things like agri, education, financial services, things like insurance, things like health, utility, and so on. So with all this, then it means now not one person can build all these activities.
It's not possible.
But now with the right partners, both at Visa level as well as fintech partners that they are supporting startups, it helps us now expand and bring this utility to life.
I'm kind of reminded about the concept of the neobank, where basically a neobank is an amalgamation of APIs that allow them to do things that a bank can do. And of course, you have Visa, which is the networks of networks in financials. You also have your own network of networks, as it were, into the local ecosystems, the global ecosystems. But I believe what you're saying to me is that as a fintech, rather than trying to build these bridges, not to mention the KYCs and the due diligence and the robust things that are required, which a startup cannot really do, you provide a layer that they can plug into and make all these things possible, correct?
And just to add on that, because if you think about, and let me not just say a startup here, but any business today, the currency of the day is speed. Whereas you might have a problem statement today that takes you several weeks to solve, and by the time you've solved, that problem has already moved on. The customers are on the next thing.
So speed to market.
So if you're not able to nail the speed to market, now startups have to think about: do I buy? Do I build? Do I partner? We make that decision for them as easy as possible. So the rough patches we've gone through into enabling some of these key components here, be it regulatory compliance, be it the infrastructure to enable things like card tokenization, card-to-card payments, among others. It's very important for startups now to see that as a competitive advantage. In terms of if I'm able to solve this problem as quickly as possible, and I put myself in front of the customer as early as possible, get the right feedback, and I'm able to sort of go beyond my peers, and not just from a peer perspective, but also in terms of bringing value into the customers, which is what they're looking for every day.
So I can really see a sort of a unified or converged purpose here for both organizations. Loop and yourselves are almost driving to the same direction. And from that point of view, I think I'll come back to you, James, and just ask the question, why was it so important for VEI to happen here? I know, of course, Kenya is the home of M-Pesa, or Momo, as we call it. But what made Kenya the right place, the right time for this?
So well, we are doing this in many countries. So, for example, there's something happening in Ethiopia as well.
Okay, fantastic.
So, but why Kenya is because, the fintechs here have demonstrated that they have the ability to come up with new solutions, and they may not have gotten the platform to get a credible organization like Visa, giving you that platform to be able to showcase the innovations. And, we're very happy for the fact that the winners from Kenya were able to go to the SemaBox final and even emerge as an audience favorite.
Correct.
And bring out a solution that has not been seen before in that space.
Correct.
So that's really why we want to do this and ensure that as problems are being solved locally, can we showcase those to a wider audience, give them the attention that they deserve, both at the regional level and global, and help them to scale. It's expensive to launch new products, and we appreciate that a lot of fintechs have great ideas, but they don't get to take them to market because of some limitations. So having an organization like Visa come and say, hey, come and show us what you have, and we'll put it on the global stage if that's how far we need to go, really then helps to even encourage upcoming fintechs to be able to prepare for the next cycle of the competition, or if not so, join the cohorts that we are creating through our accelerator programs. We have something we are calling the fintech fast track. So just that awareness and helping to connect fintechs quicker means that you may not have won the competition, but then you have a chance to either visit our studio, showcase your idea and monetize it in the future. So it's really exciting for us even to see how partners like Loop, came on board to support this, and other partners also just joined in the initiative. And we look forward to getting the gains from this initial momentum to help more and more fintechs who are solving real life problems get the recognition.
Fantastic. Now, looking at what you're doing is very locally and globally, and then looking at the competition, looking at the studio and what you're doing there, are there any sort of trends or scenarios that you're starting to see emerge when it comes to the whole fintech space? And maybe some of this might touch on what you already said about the platform play and providing the enablers for these startups or even established businesses to enter new spaces. But what sort of trends are you seeing in this area?
Yeah, so the first trend, and I think Jimmy touched on it, is collaboration. So you can't
go it alone.
You can't go it alone. So everyone has their area of specialization, and that's why we are encouraging the fintech. Solve the problem. What is it that you've seen as a problem? Let the traditional banks help us with things like security, regulatory compliance, and the rest. And then let a network like Visa connect you globally, and then for you come and layer in your solution. And you may not need to do everything. You can even partner with Loop, for example, and ensure that some of the things that they've perfected, you don't have to be part of that. So we are seeing collaboration coming in as really the key. We are also seeing the need for iteration. So
continuous improvement.
Yes, you try out something, and then you learn quickly because things are changing so quickly, and then push that to the market. And I think Jimmy touched on it as well. Time is of the essence. Something that's hot today, may not be hot tomorrow, but if you catch it at the right time, then you're going to be able to monetize it. And then we're just seeing readiness for all the upcoming technology. AI, how can we use AI? And iFluence has shown us that it can be used. What else can we do? There's a lot of data out here. How can we use that data to build predictive patterns that can be used to deliver the right solutions, whether it's in Greek, in health, and all these other things. I have a friend who is in the legal space. They're innovating even in the legal space, where we have an app that can give you some legal advice based on some certain parameters and patterns. So every sector will have some changes happening, but at the end of it all, there's a financial leg that's connected. So Visa will continue to power things behind the scenes and offer the rails that are required to fulfill the transactions that support all the verticals.
Great. Jimmy, coming back to you. I mean, Loop is clearly very innovative. I've been using the new app, I've been getting more familiar with it. I love the way you can do stuff, but I imagine you have the same perspective when you look at the organizations that are sort of coming into VEI, where I believe you're also involved in evaluating participants. Are there any interesting things you noted there that align with what Loop is trying to do?
Yes, yeah. So recall at the beginning when we talked about this concept of ecosystems,
Yes.
Of having the enabling ecosystems, the consumption ecosystem, as well as the production ecosystems, this is more from a targeting perspective, as far as the market is concerned, how we sliced and diced it, But now within that, there are 4 key plays that we are focused on, So first is the payments angle, followed by credit, remittance, as well as what we call cash management stroke banking, and if I just pick at cash management stroke banking, what we are trying to do here is we've been known as the bedrock of financial inclusion for the last 17 years, but I think as far as Kenya is concerned, we are saying that we are beyond that, and the next leg on it is financial empowerment, where yes, I can use digital finance, I can save, but how do I grow from that,
Correct.
How do I do things like investments, and if you think about a normal customer or an ordinary customer, what is the key problem or the key question they ask themselves when it comes to investment, is where can I get the best return for my money, and they are not so concerned. Is it going to be an infrastructure bond? Is it going to be maybe Sharia compliance? Is it going to be a stock, or is it going to be a group of stocks that have been created to hedge? They're more keen about can I get the best return, risk-free? Let's say today maybe it's at 14%, or can I get a variable return, of say between 8% and 20%.
Correct.
And you see, for those kind of activities, then it makes no sense for us to start building an entire team that is a dealer, that they're looking at this type of deals.
Correct.
But if you look at a startup like Ndovo, for instance,
yes,
that is already doing this kind of activity, then it means that for us to extend that kind of capability on Loop,
yes,
with the right partnership, is very easy for us to take it to market as quickly as possible.
Correct.
So if you look at the markets from an ecosystem play, and the 4 significant plays that we focus on as far as digital finance is concerned, then now it becomes easy for us to start identifying or establishing strategic fit for the players in the market as far as fintechs are concerned, and becomes easy for us to say, okay, here there's a match made in heaven, and
it actually works,
and able to progress, and it actually works.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and for partnerships, what is key to recognize that it's a two-way game. So it's not to say that we are doing this just for Loop,
yes,
but also what's the value that is being extended on the other side,
Correct.
So even as they're bringing the products and services to our customers, then we also present to them an audience that they are able to sell more. So in terms of growing their customer footprint, they're able to benefit. So it's a win-win for both parties.
Great. James, let's come back to you. For Visa, I mean, how does this partnership work? What is the ultimate objective or agenda when you work closely with Loop, and of course, vice versa?
Yeah, so when you're working with partners like Loop, you are providing them the rails behind the scene to be able to fulfill their transactions and connect them globally. You've had the things that Jimmy mentioned before, for example, pulling money from a card or sending money to a card. So that is the infrastructure that happens behind the scene. But more so, because that is the core of what we do,
yes,
we put that aside and then now come into the lifestyle side of things and co-create with them to see how can you follow the needs of the consumer, from the beginning, like Jimmy had said before, when you wake up, what are you doing? So build out a solution that's a lifestyle app that serves you at every time, at every spot in the day. So when you wake up, if you're still in the house, are there things that you can do on the platform? Visa will be behind the scene to facilitate that. As you do your mobility, what's happening there. Again, the visa rails are there to fulfill whatever solutions have been built. If you're in the supermarket and you're purchasing something using the platform as well, then we are behind the scene as well. So, and then we also have teams internally who can even review things like the UI UX. To ensure that this is a world standard, and work together with Loop to ensure that the platform conforms to the standards that are expected by the current users. The current users are quite choosy. The Gen Zs are the bulk of them, so they want to see things that are well structured and that are intuitive. So we partner and ensure that that's how we've built the platform. And then what the other thing we can do is, because we also have other partners that we are working with, we can matchmake and connect to ensure that if there's a lifestyle app that's being built by Loop, what else do we have? Maybe we have someone who's trying to do insurance, for example.
So
can we then bring them together? Maybe we have someone who's trying to do low cost acceptance and they don't know who to work with. Then we introduce them to Loop. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship, and we are very happy with the progress that we've made so far, even to just partner on the VEI and just continue to do much more, ultimately with consumers and end users in mind, and how we can delight them.
Awesome. Jimmy, how are you planning to sort of foster and nurture relationships with some of the participants, of which I'm sure maybe a few have are maybe in the process of, or eventually will become recipients of your platform? How's that coming along?
Yeah, so the first thing is for us to be able to create an enabling environment to work with these fintechs. And I recall during the event in Kenya, we mentioned that Loop has positioned itself as a fintech of fintechs.
Yes.
That any fintech with solutions in the ecosystem that I've spoken about are able to work with us.
Correct.
So to that end, what we're doing right now is building out a financial infrastructure.
Correct.
And there's a partner at Anderson Horowizia called Angela Strange, who gave a talk called "Everything Will Be an API," and it's actually coming to life, because it essentially means that any fintech or any business that wants to serve their customers, they'll essentially be a fintech company, and how they become fintech companies now by layering the capabilities that I've spoken about as far as payments are concerned, credit, remittance, and we do that by providing this infrastructure. And with this, now we're able to remove the boundaries and friction that have existed in the past to enable these fintechs grow and scale. And how we see it is by providing this capability that enables any company essentially provide fintech services to their customers.
The stuff that you guys are telling me here is actually giving me business ideas. Because I now realize something very profound. If I have a vision, right, and I think it's something our listeners and our viewers need to appreciate. You have a vision for a proposition. You could say, I'm going to create the best mobile financial service for Mama Mboga. You might even call that app Mama Mboga. Maybe if you trademark it quickly. But anyway, the point being, now what you're saying is, if you have that vision, if you have that concept, you don't even have to be a coder. Create the concept, go to somewhere like the studio, partner with Loop, bring that idea to life.
100%.
And the barriers and the sort of the complexities have now been moved away. So now really the only barrier to your idea is how creative you are. And how big the market opportunity is. And I think that's incredible, because I can see a situation where an entrepreneur will come and have no experience or background and says, look, I found a problem with this particular market segment. This is the workflow or the process map I have in mind. Can you guys make it happen? Or put me in touch with the people who can make it happen. And that's it. It makes it possible. Yeah. And that is really interesting because that brings me to my next question to you. What is the future trajectory of VEI? Where do you see this going, above and beyond what happened in 2023?
Yeah, so where we see this going is, one, to inspire fintechs. I mean, they've seen what has happened.
Yeah.
Just to inspire the fintechs and help them join the programs that we have. We have the fintech fast track program.
Mm-hmm.
We have an accelerator program that helps fintechs to get their ideas to market quicker. And if we need to run another competition, we will. Like I mentioned, we are doing something in Ethiopia. We did something in South Africa. We are also waiting to see the winner of the SemaBox finals, who's from Nigeria, how they are going to perform in the global finals.
Wow.
So all that awareness, we are hoping that will make the fintechs believe that if they have that unique idea, like you're just saying, you just need to bring it out and you'll get the support. So we look forward to many more solutions coming out. There are challenges out here. And we look forward to Kenyan fintechs picking up on those challenges, coming to the studio, partnering with the ecosystem enablers, and let's solve the challenges that the Kenyans have. Let's uplift everyone everywhere.
So I have a couple more questions for both of you, and I just love to hear your perspectives because I know you're both coming from slightly different angles.
Yeah.
Maybe starting with you, Jimmy. Let's talk about the future. Digital financial services, fintechs. Where is all this stuff going? And then I know, of course, AI is somewhere in there because AI is everything now. And then maybe you can also answer the same question, Jim. So let's start off with you, Jimmy.
Yeah. So I think the first thing I've spoken about earlier is the aspects of building the financial infrastructure for the internet and in Africa, that allows companies to be able to provide digital financial services. That's where we are today. But there are a couple of other things that are happening in the continent, but also globally, that how may have an impact on how which direction that we take as far as the industry is concerned. Yeah.
Okay.
So number one is data privacy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, because if you think about data privacy, it has potential of having a ripple effect here. So as you protecting data or in your journey or quest to protect data that you collect for your customers, how do you work it in a way that it doesn't impinge on user experience? So there's that balance that
has to be struck.
Has to be struck. Of course, not to say that you break the law, but still in the context of adhering to the law, how do you then work around to ensure that the experience that your customers or the players that you work with is sort of enhanced while also giving them the right solutions. And then of course now the other thing is as far as partnership is concerned. What do we build? What do we buy? What do we partner? That is very critical. And then the third thing that I've mentioned also several times over is that where we have come from as far as the bedrock of financial services, started with the one goal of digitizing cash.
Okay.
And even though we've been at this game for about 17 years, we're only 40% through that journey.
People are still hiding their money under the pillows, exactly, the mattresses.
Yes. So what I'm getting at this is that the cake is still quite large.
We're just scratching the surface. And that means for us to be able to complete the other 60%, we need as many players as possible to come in here. And they should not just come in and become a Me Too kind of company. Because Visa did this, I'm doing this, or because of Loop did this, I'm also doing the same thing. But there's so many problems that could be solved in our quest of cleaning out the other 60%. And when we do that, we've expanded the pie even further. Correct.
Then now the enabling services that could be created out of that, will be quite enormous. And I think right now we are getting to that space of we're not expecting some guy from China or from Silicon Valley to come and give us solutions. We're trying to ensure that these solutions are homegrown.
Correct.
And the only way of doing that is by making the process of creating those solutions be as seamless as possible. And just to go back to what I said at the beginning, Loop is all about growth.
Correct.
And that's what we are for today.
That's really interesting. What about you? What's your thought around where all this stuff is going, digital finance, fintechs, etc.?
Yeah. So as we look at where it's going, we need just to see where it's coming from. If you go 20 years ago, financial services were quite something. It was almost like a ritual. You had to go to the bank to withdraw your money.
I know.
You had to go to the ATM to get your money. You had to go fill a banking slip to know your bank balance. Yeah. And all those things have evolved to the point where you didn't have to go to the bank or to look for the services. The services came to you. And, things have been getting better every day. So if you have to look at the future, I mean, we've had, mobile money, we've had fast payments, we have globally interconnected networks. So where I see digital financial services going, it's to the things of the movies and, just looking in the future where you don't even need to know what's happening. You just live your life. Or you wake up, go to the fridge, consume whatever you're consuming, and your fridge is connected, to via IoT.
Correct.
And it knows that, you've consumed, 5 liters of milk. It places an order. Your financial details are connected to the fridge.
Correct.
And the replenishment happens automatically. Your car is running out of fuel. It calls maybe a fuel delivery, and they come in, they connect, and they fuel your car.
Yeah.
You walk into the mall and you get the similar experience like when you're shopping online. How if you go into Amazon already knows who you are. They know what you shop for. They are showing you suggestions. It'll be the same thing. You walk into Sarit Center, and if you go into one of the shops, it already knows that's Jimmy, that's Moses, and last time he bought this. Now we are going to suggest this. So it's just going to be, things that we see in movies going to be quite futuristic. If you're using the expressway, we don't have the untidy way of loading and all these things. You just come in. It knows that you have your phone and the money is there. It just deducts it automatically.
Correct.
So there's going to be a lot of benefits in digital financial services because the user, the consumer's convenience is going to be at the heart of everything. And then all the competing solutions that have been put out will have converged. Maybe we'll have one super lifestyle app that has connected the capabilities from Loop or from the other partner and from the other partner. And then we have this one portal, where you as the end user, probably you're the one who even picks, what do I like? And it configures that for you. And that's what you enjoy. So I'm really looking forward to all this, and it's really going to happen with a lot of collaboration, a lot of innovation, and working together, to resolve the issues of the end user, and digitize really, and have that experience of the movies.
What I'm hearing almost like everything you've said sounded like AI. Okay, that's AI. That's AI. Like AI is going to infuse everything to create a better customer experience.
100%.
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah,
100%.
My next question to both of you, I think, is quite relevant to Vey, because I really want to think about the startups. I've been in startups and businesses in general that could be a part of this event. Are there things, Jimmy, that you noticed or picked up when you saw the startups? Would you have any advice for them? Any recommendations from what you saw them doing at the event? And then, given that this is an event that cascades all the way to a global level, of which now we hear there's at least one Nigerian company in the running, what are the things that you picked up and you'd say to these organizations that are willing to apply to and become a part of Vey? What are the things they need to think about? And of course, how can they go from, let's say, the Kenya edition or the East African edition all the way to the top?
Yeah. So first of all, my own sentiments is that we've got raw talent here in the country. But also, if you look at what they're doing in Ethiopia and also in Nigeria, that we've had the privilege of following through the interweb. There's a lot of talent here within the continent here, and also locally here. And I think if there is advice that I could give here, is essentially that the whole partnerships angle. Yeah, what do you build yourself? What do you partner? And how
it comes back to that. Yeah?
Exactly, it always comes back to that. Yeah. Then now the question is then how do you select the right partner to work with? I recall what I talked about, having the brand equity and having the requisite APIs and platform that is required for you to scale. So for Loop being a fintech, it was clear for us that the strategy that you've taken for partnering with these fintechs with Visa from a Visa in everywhere initiative perspective is the right direction. But then now for fintechs, then what's in it for them? Yeah. Loop has ambitions to be the Pan-African digital platform. Yeah. So from east to west. Yeah. That's how you've seen it. Yeah. And in there are about 9-10 countries that we're very keen on.
Yes.
And if you look at that market, yeah, it's a market that harbors around 300 million Africans. Yeah.
Correct. Wow.
So what I was coming to next, yeah, a fintech that is trying to grow, there's always about scale. So how do you tap into scale? Yeah. So for Loop, it's important for us because now these startups are giving us specialized services in their select ecosystems that enables us to penetrate into these countries with the right solutions co-created between Loop and the startups. Yeah. But for the startups as well, is to tap into this audience. So if I'm in Ethiopia and I want to get customers from Kenya, then we're able to to layer that and provide the rails for them to partner. But then now beyond scale, how do they also architect for the future? Because if you have this vision, you're able to see it from the onset. It allows you to now start making the right architectural decisions, the right decisions on how you're building whatever solution that you're building. Who do you partner with? What is the core? Because also startups have this issue where they want to do everything. Yeah,
correct.
Because a customer wants A, B, C, and D. I try to layer everything in at once. Yeah,
correct.
Not forming your own specialty and becoming
niche, yeah.
Amongst the top in that area gives you very good chances of success. Yeah. So to me, I think that's what I saw, and we are picking up these conversations from the initiative. Yeah, not just with the startups that were selected to present, but also startups that were part of the audience. Yeah,
correct.
Because so many of them also came to speak to us and telling us, yeah, hey Loop, we like what you've done. We are doing this. Is there a way for us to work together? And that is very instrumental for us, yeah, because there's always a problem of search. Yeah. So if I wanted to go and find out which startup is doing something in investments, for instance, yeah,
yes,
I don't have to really struggle, yeah, because the Visa Every initiative is creating a platform where they're all coming in there, and by me or us being present in that conversation,
correct,
we're able to get these target startups very quickly and progress conversations as quickly as possible, and our customers start deriving value very quickly.
Fantastic. Yeah. What about for you, James? How do you see this in terms of the advice to the startups or the businesses that want to enter?
Yeah.
What did you observe in this edition? Yeah. And then also, what can they do to get all the way to the apex, the global competition?
Yeah. So from this round, the first thing you need to do is really to stand out, because when we put out the information that the competition is open, hundreds of fintechs are interested. Yeah, and you're just selecting a few to be able to showcase in the live event. So how do you stand out? So you have to look for a very unique area and get a solution for that area, and then have a very compelling pitch. Because you submit this and it's your one chance. So stand out, solve a problem, and then be willing to collaborate, because when you collaborate with traditional partners or other fintechs, then they'll give you the access to the market that you need to scale your solution. So stop worrying about funding. because if your idea is good and it makes it to the competition, then you'll get the support that you need from a mentoring perspective, from a funding perspective, and a scale perspective. So I would really like to encourage all the, the people out there who have ideas, get thinking. What's that unique problem you can solve? How can you put it as a compelling pitch that will stand out from hundreds of pitches that will be put in? Even in Ethiopia, we have many people wanting to be part of the competition. So, but we're only picking a few.
Yeah.
But the encouraging thing is that even if your pitch does not make it to the competition, you can then be considered, for mentoring and for joining the other programs that are available. So it's really a wake-up call for all the people sitting out there, maybe who have these great ideas and they have all these barriers to entry. We're trying to open those barriers and let people wear their thinking hats.
I mean, honestly speaking, even the visa everywhere. I saw it even on blogs like TechCrunch. The ads were running. It was literally it was everywhere. You couldn't miss it. So I imagine it surfaced a lot of high potential startups and also for them realizing there is a platform for them to go. Gentlemen, I've had you for far too long already. I know you're busy guys, so I'm just going to ask you one last question. Are there any last thoughts? Parting suggestions, recommendations, anything you'd like to leave our audience and our viewers with, starting with you, Jimmy?
Yeah, so for me, I think just putting myself in the shoes of the startups, is to clearly know your core. Because whenever we're speaking partnerships here, it means that you're specializing on behalf of the customer. And when you specialize on behalf of the customer, you're able to give the customer sort of A1 type of services. So they get a lot of value in it. So be able to know your core first, and then number two, perfect that core. Be very clear to your audience. What is this value that you're creating for them? And then also have multiple growth strategies. Because if you're doing everything by yourself, then you're likely to have very few. But when you get to the market through partnerships, then you're able to have multiple levels, and it's only when you present this to your customers you can tell which one works very well, and then to also be very smart about monetization, so how do you make money? I know there's been so much talk about some startups,
funding drying up.
Funding drying up and not having the fundamentals very clear. So I think the last few years we've seen quite some lessons on that, and we don't want the startups that we work with or we partner with to take the wrong path. And then lastly, coming from a product background, there's always this nudge or risk of being a feature factory, where you're only concerned about what's the next feature that I'm building out there. But rather than that is to focus on building the network effects, building the audience, and when you have the right solution for your customers, your audience grows, but that should be the goal, and not how many features have I built, which is the best feature, but rather how am I growing my customers and how am I deriving value from those customers. So for me, that would be my parting shot, and I'll of course want to wish them the very best. Looking forward to meeting them again in the next initiative and through the many programs that the Visa team have lined up for them.
You've reminded me of a statement that we used when I used to occasionally run startup competitions in the tech space. And we used to say, don't be a solution looking for a problem. So basically get your business fundamentals right. Validate that there is a problem and then go and create your solution. Great. James, maybe you can give us also your parting shot as well.
So there's opportunity everywhere. And it'll just take me back to a story that I used to like from my childhood, where two salespeople were sent out to find out whether they can sell shoes. And they went to this village, and people were not wearing shoes. So one salesperson came and said, we can't sell shoes there. Don't wear shoes. But the second one came and said, let's go there. They don't wear shoes. Let's go sell our shoes. So see the opportunity. I would like the fintechs to really look out and see where the opportunities are. And also just to raise the awareness levels of the channels that are available. The innovation studio is open. Come in with your ideas. Understand what Visa can do for you beyond being the card scheme that we have clarified here. We build end-to-end solutions, and we support all the solutions that can really go to market. So it's to encourage people to just come and work with us.
I think it's so important. Like, I'm just remembering something based on what you just said. I think it was Henry Ford. When he was asked, when he was making the car, they asked him, why did you come up with the idea? He said, well, if I asked people what they wanted for transport, they'd have asked for a faster horse, as opposed to an entirely new thing. And I think from this conversation, what I'm hearing is that, it's almost like the world is your oyster as a fintech or a business that is trying to create some kind of financial solution, a digital financial solution. So really just let your creativity fly and see what is possible and make that a reality. And of course, platforms like Vay and of course partners like Loop and Visa are here to hold hands and take it to that potential. I wish these sort of things existed 20, 30 years ago when I was starting my business. But clearly the opportunity is here, the opportunity is now. And you don't have to walk this journey alone. There are partners who will walk with you. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Super excited to see what happens next with all the startups and organizations that are part of the Visa Everywhere initiative in this region. And more importantly, I'm looking forward to seeing more and more from Visa and Loop in terms of making the whole financial services ecosystem in this region more successful and even across the continent and the planet.
Thank you very much, Moses. It's been a pleasure. Asante sana.
Gentlemen, asante sana.
Thank you.
So thank you so much again, gentlemen. We are delighted to have you here for this podcast. I just want to thank you for joining us and listening to this incredible conversation about the Visa Everywhere initiative that's happening globally and right here in Kenya, in the region, in East Africa. And we'll catch you in the next one. Asante.